What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So, does the president have the authority to provide a $200 raise for Social Security? We're going to talk about that. I still have people in the comments asking me this question or telling me, a lot of them are actually telling me, they're not even asking me the question, they're telling me the president can do it through executive order. So, we're going to talk about this because it's very important for us to understand how our government functions. Because when we understand how our government functions, then we know who we really should be pointing fingers at. So that's what we're going to talk about in this video. But first off, if you guys can do me a favor, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell notification, and then click all. By clicking all, you'll get notified anytime we post a video. We do daily videos here, so by clicking the bell notification and clicking all, you should be getting updated every day. Just a reminder, thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. And if you'd like to follow me on Twitter and Threads, you can at the TEC Show Live. And one more reminder, every Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we're going to be doing a live stream. We're going to be talking about the headline news of the week. Okay, so I want to get right into this, but before I do this, I have to kind of lay a foundation. So we're going to talk a little bit about how our government works, okay? And this will be pretty brief, and hopefully, if you guys don't understand all the different branches, you'll understand what's going on when it comes to the president and how much power the president really has. Okay, so when we're looking at our three branches of government, we have three branches of government. We have the executive branch. We're going to talk about it in more detail. We have the legislative branch, and then we have the judicial branch. Okay, so those are the three branches of government that we have. Now let's talk a little bit about what each branch does and their main function, okay? When it comes to the executive branch, their main function is to enforce laws, okay? That is what they do. They are the enforcers. That's why you have the Department of Justice, a part of the executive branch, the FBI, part of the executive branch, the president, part of the executive branch. And so they are the enforcers. So you have the president, the vice president, and then cabinet members, okay? Now, these cabinet members are appointed by the president. So the Secretary of Homeland Security, Director of the FBI, all these different agencies, they have someone at the helm, at the top. And those people are appointed by the president. Okay? And their job is to enforce the laws. That's their job. And so that's why right now you're seeing the Homeland Secretary Mayorkas, they're trying to impeach him because they're saying he's not enforcing the laws. They're actually saying a lot of different things, but the main issue that they're having is they're saying that he has committed high crimes or misdemeanors. So that's why they were attempting to impeach him. We'll have to see if they have another vote, but the first vote did fail. So that is what the executive branch does. Now, you're asking yourself, if the executive branch enforces laws, who makes the laws? All right, let's move forward. We have the legislative branch. They make the laws. That is their function, making laws, not causing chaos, but actually making laws, okay? So right now, the breakdowns, you have 100 U.S. senators, and then you have 435 representatives, okay? So 2 senators every state, and then representatives, it depends on the population in each state. So that is the breakdown. So now when we're looking at the issues that are going on and how to fix those issues, we really need to be focusing on Congress, because Congress, they're the ones that are creating the laws, or they should be. But if they're not creating any laws and they're just causing chaos, then guess what? Things are just going to get worse because the president doesn't have the power to create new laws. The president can only enforce the laws that are already out there. When we're talking about the border right now, you have a lot of people upset when it comes to the border. They're saying, well, the president needs to do something. The president can do this. You even have Congress people saying that, well, the president can do this and the president can do that. The president can order something temporarily, but the president doesn't have the power to create new laws. It has to come from Congress. And so that's why they were trying to pass this bipartisan border bill, and the Senate couldn't pass it. The president doesn't have the power to do what was in that border bill. So the president can do things temporarily, but he needs the backing from Congress. If he doesn't have backing from Congress, it's not going to go anywhere. And in many cases, and we've seen this before, just recently, because about a year and a half ago, we saw the president say that he's going to wipe away student loan debt. Okay, that was one of his promises. So 10,000, between 10,000 and 20,000, he's going to go ahead and wipe that away. Well, guess what? It didn't go anywhere. Why? Because there's no law that says you can wipe that the president has the power to do that. So the president said he's going to wipe away the student loan debt between 10 and 20,000. And you had Congress people at that time saying, no, he doesn't have the authority to do that. And so what happened is they brought up a case, and that case went to the judicial branch, went to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court, their job, or the court system as a whole, their job is to interpret laws. And so they interpreted that law, and it went through the court system, went from the federal court system to the Supreme Court. And when it got to the Supreme Court, they said, no, the president doesn't have power to wipe away the student loan debt. And so that's what we saw there. Now, what about Social Security? Let's talk about that. And let's just look at let's look at the way things would work. Let's say the president wanted to provide a $200 raise for people receiving Social Security benefits, $200 per month. He can go ahead and say, I'm going to order that. He can order it, but it's not going to go anywhere, because this is what will happen. He will order it. Congress will look at it and say, guess what? We have the money. You don't have any money. The president doesn't have the money. The money is coming from Congress. So Congress can say, I'm not going to pay for it. And if Congress doesn't agree to pay for it, then it can't go anywhere. But that's not exactly how it would work. How it would work is the president would sign an executive order saying $200 raise for people receiving Social Security benefits, effective immediately. And what would happen is someone would go right over to the federal court and say the president doesn't have the power to do that. And then that would probably work its way up to the Supreme Court. And then ultimately the Supreme Court is going to interpret the law and say that the president doesn't have the power to do that. And the main reason why the president doesn't have the power to do that is because the president doesn't have the money. The president doesn't hold the purse. So how can you wipe things away if you don't even have money to make that happen? Congress has to do it. It has to come from Congress. And so I know President Biden in 2020 said that he's in favor of a $200 raise for Social Security. He said that people receiving Social Security benefits should get a $200 raise for Social Security. But it has to come from Congress. It has to be voted on in both the House and the Senate, passed in both the House and the Senate, and then moved to the president so he can sign off on it. That's the way it works. And so even if the president wanted to, the president can't do that. And the reason why they have it set up this way is because they don't want to give. If you look at the branches here, you don't want to give one branch too much power. Because if the president, let's say the president not only enforces laws, but he also creates laws. Guess what? There's no need for Congress. And so now all you have is the president enforcing laws, creating laws, and one of those laws that the president can create is to do away with the Supreme Court, or do away with our federal court system as a whole. And then you'll have a president that has all the power. And Congress doesn't have any power. You don't have a Supreme Court. You don't have anything else. All you have is a president. And that's why in some countries you see dictators. That's how they take over. And then one of the laws that the president can create is the law that says that he or she can remain president for the rest of their life. Or they can go from president to prime minister to president to prime minister. They can do all these different kind of things because they control everything. They are enforcing, they are creating, and they're interpreting the law. And so that's the danger there. And that's the reason why our founding fathers created these three branches of government. Now, I understand it's frustrating when you're looking at things not getting done, but we really should be pointing our finger in the right direction. Okay, the president does have some power to do certain things, and the president, if there were a situation, and let me give you this example, both President Biden and former President Trump have said that they are not in favor of cutting Social Security. And they do have power to keep that from happening. Well, I shouldn't say keep that from happening because it can still happen, and I can run you through an example. Let's say the president says we're not cutting Social Security or Medicare. And Congress says, no, we want to make cuts to Social Security and Medicare. And they go ahead, pass it in the House, pass it in the Senate, send it to the president for signature. Well, the president can veto it. And by vetoing, he's saying or she's saying, look, this Social Security cut is not going to happen. However, it gets kicked back to Congress. And the Congress, with the 2/3 vote, can override the president's veto. So when we're looking at where the power really lies, if you have a legislative branch that is, together, and because we have the two-party system, we'll probably never see a 2/3 vote actually move forward. I won't say never. It's very hard to get a 2/3 vote to move forward because of our two-party system. It does happen, but it's not the norm. And in a situation like this, if the president said, I'm going to veto this bill, and the president vetoes the bill, then that veto will still have a hard time getting overridden by Congress. But the legislative branch, they have the power. Some would argue that the Speaker of the House is the most powerful person in government, in our federal system, because the Speaker of the House controls the purse. And they have more power than the leader of the Senate, because in the Senate, you need a supermajority vote. So even if you have the majority right now in the Senate, Democrats have 51 senators. They have the majority. Republicans have 49. But they can't pass a bill with just 51 votes. They need to get 60 votes. So they still need to pull some Republicans on board in order to pass anything. Whereas in the House, the Speaker just needs the majority vote. And if you already have the majority, which you should have the majority because that's why you're Speaker, then you have the power to move legislation when you want and how you want. That's in an ideal situation. Obviously, the situation that we're looking at right now is chaotic because you have a speaker there, but the speaker can't unify his party. He can't get everybody on the same page. And I've said this before, you can, whether you like Nancy Pelosi or don't like her, she was able to get her party to vote for what she wanted them to vote for. Very rarely would you see her call a bill to the floor and have that bill not pass, because she knew she had the votes, because everybody stuck together and voted for it, even if they weren't 100% on board. But we're not seeing that right now. We're seeing all these different split up factions. You have the Freedom Caucus that's just, voting against everything that even Speaker Johnson wants, or you have outside players like former President Trump that's saying things, and it's affecting how Congress is functioning, how the House is functioning. So I just wanted to go over that with you guys because I do have people asking me this. And please share this video with other people that might have made that same statement, that the president can go ahead and just issue an executive order and we'll have this $200 raise for Social Security. The president doesn't have the power to do that. So if you guys have any other questions, let me know down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.
This Congress can't pass gas, and he needs to run against a do-nothing Congress. And I think that can give them some traction that he did not have before. But, you know, maybe they could get Rudy Giuliani to be Speaker. We know he can pass gas for sure. But this is almost comical.